Hello, everybody. I'm here for another scary story. And today, we have a post from the r/no sleep subreddit. So let's jump right into it. I was doing some work in the basement of our new house and had accidentally left the basement door open. It wasn't a problem because no one could get down there unless someone actually went looking for the stairs. But later that night, my wife told me that she had heard what sounded like screams in the basement while she was getting ready for bed upstairs. She joked that maybe it was just some animals, but I told her I knew there were no animals down there. It was a weird conversation that we both kind of forgot about until the next day. We had a lot to do around the house, so I didn't go down there again until late at night. When I went to check, I found that the door was wide open and I swear that I had closed it. I closed it again and carried on. We hadn't even unpacked all of our stuff yet, so it wasn't really a big deal. That was until the third night when the door was once again wide open and I heard the distinct sound of glass breaking. This time I decided that I would wait until I saw something before making any snap judgments. After about 15 minutes, I heard shuffling near where our son's new bookshelf was going to be and then a crash. I ran to the top of the basement stairs and started yelling. Nothing happened. I went down and checked everywhere. The only thing that was different was that the door to the basement was open. I closed it and locked it this time. My wife and I talked about it, and we decided that it probably was just some animals that had gotten in through an open window during the day. We figured that the window must have slammed shut after dark, and the animals got spooked by our voices and left. We were both tired, so we went to bed without checking the basement. In the morning, my wife said that she had heard what sounded like whispering in the basement during the night. I told her that she was just hearing things and we needed to focus on the real problems. It was the weekend, and we had a ton of stuff to do. I ended up spending the whole day working outside, which is why I didn't hear anything. That night I ended up working late in the garage. It was nice out, so I left the garage door open and played music while I worked. After about 2 hours, my wife came out and told me that she had heard some strange noises in the basement again. I told her not to worry about it and to just come help me in the garage. About 15 minutes later, my son came out of the basement and I asked him if he had heard the noises too. He said that he had heard the whispering and that he was sure that there was something down there. My wife and I looked at each other, and we both decided that enough was enough. We made our son stay with us in the garage, and we took turns checking the basement every 15 minutes or so. This went on until almost 4 a.m. and nothing happened. Finally, we were exhausted and we put our son back in his room. Both of us slept in the living room on the couch. In the morning, I got up and went to check the basement and noticed that the door was open again. The strange thing was that the lock was broken and the door was scratched like someone had tried to force their way in. I fixed the lock and swept the basement, finding nothing out of place. That day, I spent most of my time in the basement trying to get everything organized. I had my son playing in the garage and my wife helping me organize. It was about 2 p.m. and my wife was upstairs organizing stuff when I heard my son scream. I immediately ran upstairs and out to the backyard where I saw my wife standing frozen in terror at the basement door. It was wide open and I could see the bookshelf lying on its side on the basement floor. I told my son to go back inside and lock the door while I went out to investigate. As I walked toward the basement, I felt a sudden burst of energy behind me, and I turned to see my wife running away from the basement as fast as she could. I yelled for her to stop, but she wouldn't. I ended up having to grab her by the arm to make her stop. She looked at me and whispered, "Don't go down there. There's something horrible down there." I tried to calm her down, but she was hysterical. Eventually, she broke down and told me that she had been downstairs organizing when she heard the bookshelf crash to the floor. She went to check it out, and whatever was down there knocked it over. She said that she turned to run, and that's when she saw it. It was standing at the top of the basement stairs. It was tall and gaunt with long, dirty hair covering its face. She screamed and ran, and that's when it started scratching at the door. She kept running until she got away from it. I tried to tell my wife that it was probably just a person who had snuck in through the basement window, but I couldn't convince her. She was too scared to go anywhere near the basement. I went down there myself and, of course, found nothing. I told my wife that there was nothing down there and that we should just forget about it. But she refused to go near the basement. So we ended up staying in a hotel at night. The next day, my wife was still too afraid to go in, so I went down by myself. I found the bookshelf and examined it, noticing that it had been hit on the side and knocked over that way. There were no fingerprints or other signs of forced entry. Later that day, I called a friend and asked him to come over and help me check the house for signs of forced entry. We checked everywhere and couldn't find anything except for the basement door. I was beginning to think that my wife was just being paranoid until we went to check the attic. The attic was very small, and you had to crawl through it. You could stand up straight in maybe 1/4 of it. The rest of it was basically a storage space. Me and my buddy crawled through the attic, checking everything and finding nothing. As we started to leave, we both noticed that the access door to the attic was slightly open. It was stuck at an angle and clearly hadn't been moved in a long time. It scared the hell out of me that someone could have been watching us from up there the entire time. Whoever it was must have known we were in there, because as soon as my buddy and I started yelling and making noise, the door slowly closed. We both agreed that we would never go in there alone again. And that was pretty much the end of that. Neither my wife nor I have ever gone back into the attic. Now, any time I need something from up there, I bring my son with me for backup. That was the end of the story. Thank you so much for listening, and if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe. Also, I have a question for you. Have you ever seen anything creepy in your home? Let me know down in the comments, and also share your ghost stories. I want to read them. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.